Blank canvas, blank canvas, blank canvas, blank canvas. Don't know what the topic is, but we gon' talk about something on the mental, on the mind, weighing heavy. Society with the levies, kinda deadly. Silent killer, hard to daddy. Most killers had no daddy. Sadly, that's just what it be in my community. We got no unity. Dark skin wanna ruin me. I'm speaking fluently. So just listen. Blank canvas, blank canvas, blank canvas, blank canvas. Listen.
What's up, guys? It's Mickey, and welcome back to another episode of Blank Canvas. All right. How is my BK fam feeling? Hope you guys are doing amazing, swell, and I hope this is a wonderful week whenever you decide to listen to this week's episode. So I want to jump right into it. This past week was Easter weekend, and I'm sure some of us celebrated, some of us enjoyed time with family, and so forth and so on. And what I thought about was I've been examining my life, right? And I've been examining the role that I play and how I get it done. And I realized that there are some people who still don't understand. And I've accepted that some people never will. I have accepted the fact that the role that I play, more often than not, more people are going to judge me for it. However, they have no idea why God has called me to do the things that He has done, because even I don't fully understand. So if I don't fully understand, I can't keep being upset with other human beings that they definitely don't understand. Do I wish a little more grace and empathy would be given to me at times? Sure. But do I need that to keep fulfilling my purpose? Of course not. So I want to talk to my BK fam about still fulfilling your God-given calling, or still serving the season in whichever form God has called you to serve this season, whether it's literally serving other people, whether it's literally serving a thing, a specific message, a specific purpose, wherever and however God has called you to serve this current season. Can you and will you still do it no matter what the opinions of others are? I always say that God gave you the vision, so don't be too upset when other people don't recognize your vision, don't fully understand your vision, are quick to critique your vision. Every critique isn't demonic. Some of it can be constructive criticism. However, you also have to look at, where is this critique coming from? From what place? From what person is this place coming from? How do they view life? What is their perception? And I say that even with just advice, period, in life. Whatever advice that I give you guys here on BK and others in my life, it's going to be from my perspective, my experiences, and just my level of how I view life and view people and view things. My perspective is not the end all be all. I am not right in every single thing that I tell you guys. There are some things that I may have said in the past that I've come back on episodes where I'm like, I can look at this differently now. I can understand this situation with a little more empathy, a little more grace, a little more love, whereas I couldn't back then. Maybe I was more wounded back then and I was too blinded to even see the other person's perspective, and so forth and so on. So my perspective, especially depending on how I'm viewing it, isn't always right, which is why I always say check in with God first and foremost. I don't care who you're getting advice from, me, anybody else. If you're giving yourself advice, make sure you check in with God first. And I encourage that even when it comes to deciding how you're supposed to serve in this season. If everybody got it and it made so much sense to everybody, then I don't think God would necessarily call us to do it. And there's some stuff that we do in life where it just clicks for us as human beings, and there's other stuff that He's called you to that's so far greater than you can even imagine. So far greater, it feels out of reach, right? Those are the things that you need God for, not just like any human being can help supplement you. And we have to be careful that even in the areas where God can send supplication, that we don't forget that God is the one who sent the supplication. God is the one who gives us the ability to do the things that we need to do, right? And so I guess what I'm trying to say is I want us to persevere. I want us to still do what God has called us to do, no matter what other people say. I want us to still push forward even when we don't feel like ourselves, like internally, like we don't feel the feeling. I don't feel like pushing forward today. I don't feel like still serving. Serve anyways, push forward anyways, because God has such a bigger picture. Every single time I think I understand why I am the way that I am. Yes, he reveals in part to me, like, okay, you're here because of this, you're here because of that. But there's also things that he's pruning out of me in these past few years that needed to be gone. They needed to be gone. There are some things that he's reawakening me these past few years that needed to be reawakened. And I've talked about some of that, to the idea that marriage can be beautiful, the idea that marriage is a thing for me that I would actually want to go after, the idea of motherhood. I think I've expressed here on the podcast, but God has told me to start praying for my future kids. If you've been here since the beginning, you know how hard I struggle with the back and forth of, do I want to be a mother? Do I think I could make a great mother? Absolutely. Perfect? No. Great? Yes. However, it's scary. It's scary to be in charge of another life. It's scary to bring the life into the world and possibly not raise the life with their father. Like, I want my kids to come from a healthy two-parent household. And the reason I emphasized and added the healthiness, because you can be in a two-parent household and it is dysfunctional as ever, and you don't gain the benefits of being in a two-parent household. It could have been more beneficial if you were in a singular parent household that was healthy. And I take all of that into consideration, but I also know that the way that God designed different things was on purpose. Like, he designed man, woman for a reason. And I'm not here to try to crucify you for whatever your sexual preferences, orientations, how what you like to do. I'm not here to do that. That's not my place to judge. I'm just saying I fully understand why God designed man and woman to be man and woman, because man has his role, woman has her role. And I feel like in this world there are so many things that we have gotten comfortable with, and that's way past being gay, being bi, being a lesbian, being any of that, right? There's so many, because straight people sin every single day, every single time we have sex before marriage. Like, it's not like we get a pass because we're not saying woman on woman, man on man. We don't get a pass because we're out here. You think they wildin'. How do you think he feels about us wildin', straight people just out here fornicating and having premarital sex with any and everybody? Like, we don't get a pass. He's just as disgusted, may not be the right word, but he's just as like, no, this isn't my intention. And I said a couple episodes back of how I've been trying to really be more intentional in every area in my life. And that includes who and how I give my body away, and the words that I speak, the people I'm around, the pointless interactions that I have with some people. Maybe because of the way that my personality is made, it feels more pointless to me than it does to other people. But there are so many times where I have certain interactions, I'm like, that was wasted energy. I did not need to talk to you. I did not need to be around you. Or you're around some people and you're like, every single time it's a negative comment. Every single time, like, your first thought is to pick out a flaw in somebody, or your first thought is to say something negative about somebody. It's like, I want to be intentional about not being around those people if I don't have to. And if I have to be around them, short spurts of energy and short spurts moments, because I need to get away from it. I need to center myself. I need to be around good energy. I need to be around positive people. I need to be around people who want something different and better out of life, who don't just want to, like, it's not even just like an ambitious, like riches and things of that nature. It's even simply like, do you just want to be a kind person to somebody and not make their life more miserable? Do you not want to be out here not playing games with people? Do you not, like, do you want to be more intentional about not playing games? Do you want to be more intentional about not hurting people? Do you want to be more intentional, more accountable for how you move in life can affect others? And I'm not saying that for other people. I'm speaking for myself. Like, these are the questions that I ask myself. Like, am I out here wasting people's time? Am I going to be accountable and be like, hey, let me just say up front, I see this going nowhere. Let me cut it off. And, the struggle with me is do I cut it off too early, right? But sometimes you can just feel it, like, I'm not serious about this. There's no need to waste your time. Who knows what you're going through? I don't need to pick up your energy. You don't need to pick up mine, so forth and so on. And so I think just being intentional in all areas in my life is what I'm really trying to do. And in some ways it's easy, in other ways it's not. But I think the thing is to be consistent and disciplined and being intentional, because God is so intentional. And I've always said that that's one of my favorite things about God is his intentionality and just the way he loves us and he cares for us and he blesses us and he keeps us. And I think more than the blessing is just the simple nature of the choice to be with him, the choice to love him. Like, we literally get to be in relationship with somebody by choice, not by force, that genuinely wants the best for us. I think every single human being has had an experience where somebody has just used you. They didn't want the best for you. Where somebody has wished ill will on you and they didn't want the best for you. Where we have been around people who have literally plotted against us. You don't get to live in this world and not have experienced that in some form. And if you haven't, maybe you didn't know that they were plotting against you like that, but they were. They definitely, absolutely, positively were. So you have to be careful about that, and you have to pray for discernment, and you have to try hard not to retaliate when, I can't speak for y'all, but when I absolutely feel the urge and desire to want to retaliate, I have to be careful about that. And so, what I just want to encourage my BK fam to do this week is to be intentional about your calling. Be intentional about how God has called you in this season to show up, not just for yourself, but for others. How God has called you to serve, not just yourself, but others. How God is even, and I always reference others, but even just taking care of yourself well. Maybe God is like, you're so good at focusing on others. I need you to dedicate this time to focus on you. I need you to dedicate this time to speak life in you. The same way you encourage others, encourage yourself. Speak kind words over yourself. Grind for yourself. It needs to be a balance. Yes, serve others. Yes, be there for others. But if you're being harmful to yourself, if you're being mean to yourself, it doesn't no good. Like, God isn't pleased when we're up here beating up ourselves, not forgiving ourselves, being like, oh, like, I can't believe I did that. Okay, you did it. Moving on. Not to minimize the pain you may have caused others, not to minimize maybe some of the pain that fell off on you from the choices that you made. However, it's like, don't stay there, because God isn't holding you hostage. It's the world. It's human beings that try to hold you hostage. It's ourselves that try to hold us hostage. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. Because you be like, how did I do this to me? If somebody else did it to you, you can kind of be like, okay, that was messed up on them. They're this, they're that. But when you do it to yourself, when you talk ugly to yourself, when you put yourself in certain situations, when you stay in certain situations too long, when you leave too quickly, something that could have been beautiful. When we do it to us, sometimes the hardest person to forgive is, how could I do this to me? I should know better. I should know me better. I should have been able to predict it. But then that goes back to I, and thinking that we don't need God. Like, we're not sovereign like God is. So, of course, we're going to make mistakes even when it comes to us. Of course, we're going to make mistakes even when it comes to other people. However, if any of my BK family is struggling with forgiving yourself today, if you don't take anything away from this message, take away that. Forgive yourself. Free yourself. It is okay, because God is already forgiving you. He ain't even holding that over your head. He's just waiting for you to forgive yourself so he can continue maneuvering, doing the work in you and doing the work in your life. He wants to bless you with more, but if you feel like you don't even deserve it, you won't even be ready to receive it. So please, if you're struggling with forgiving yourself, forgive yourself, okay? And the last thing that I just want to say is make sure you're being intentional about what he's called you to do. Make sure you're doing it. Make sure you check in with him and make sure you still have the grace for that season to do the things that he's called you to do. It won't make sense to anybody else. It probably barely makes enough sense to you. I know there are certain ways that I'm serving right now that don't make 100% sense to me. So I know for a fact that's why it doesn't make sense to everybody else. However, there are some things that God has been speaking to me lately that he's revealing. I'm trying to build this in you. I'm trying to get you to see this that for society can't even understand, because I'm just now revealing it to you over time. And I don't care if it makes sense to everybody else, because when I call you here, I've called you here. And when I pluck you up out of here and I tell you to go to the next place, you must be ready to go to the next place. But I need you to gain every single lesson that I need you to gain from this. And there are certain things that I have been through. There are certain persecution that I have felt, as I feel like every human being will walk their own journeys, where it's like I'm being persecuted or I'm being swallowed from left to right. And no matter how much I say, well, God told me to serve this way, or God does this, or no matter how much people understand, like, this is where God has it and it makes sense, like the parts that do make sense, there's still people that's going to be like, well, and judge you for it and try to make you feel bad for it. But you can't let the outside voices deter you from what God has called you to do. And also, this just downloaded to me. If you're sitting on pause, if there's something that God has called you to do and you're pausing, do it. Do it today. Start today. Even if it's a title, like say it's like a book, even if it's a title, if it's a podcast, a TV show, just start writing. Just start getting down ideas. Just start visualizing what you want. Where there is no vision, the people will perish, right? And don't sit on what God has called you to do, because you don't know who he's called you for. It may not just be to bring riches to your life. It could be because there is one person on this planet that needs to know that they are seen, heard, and understood. And that is why I do this podcast, because God has called me to it. And when he tells me to put it down, I'm going to put it down, no matter if the world has heard it or only 5 people, right? But there is sometimes that people need to know that some of the things that we talk about on here, Mickey has gone through it, or Mickey knows somebody that's gone through it, and they have made it. They have survived. You are not alone. This is not the end. The best is yet to come, and it's never too late. God is always in the business of blessing us, loving us, and just being there for us. And his blessings are going to be in overflow, and his blessings are going to be intentional. So they'll be more impactful than just giving you something to give you something. And I could be here all day about how good God is, but you can catch me next week, because I'll probably be reminding you how good God is. So I love you guys. Short, sweet, and to the point. I hope you guys can take away something this week, and I can't wait to see what we talk about next time. All right, guys. Bye.